वेरी गुड इवनिंग टू ऑल ऑफ यू. कैसे हैं सब लोग? आई होप ऑल वेल एंड वेटिंग फॉर ऑल यू टू ज्वाइन. And today topic again, it is a very practical, very useful in terms of the examination and in terms of the practical life also. Good evening Hemant. Good evening. कैसे हो? So I thought that I will start with the practical question first, but once all will join, then we will start. So meanwhile, I will take some provision, and then once all will join, then we'll start the practical question. Payment of tax, interest, penalty, and other. For this, we need to read Section 49, Section 49 capital A, Section 49 capital B, Rule 88A, and Circular 98. Always remember these 5 things we need to read it together to understand the concept of payment of tax, interest, penalty. ठीक है. उसके बाद we will discuss about electronic cash ledger, electronic credit ledger. There are multiple ledgers that we will discuss. Fine. You tell me, Hemant and anyone who has joined the class. Okay, Hemant, Mansa, Ojajini, all you have joined. Great. You tell me, if I have the IGST liability, can I use directly CGST and SGST, or I have to use first IGST? मेरा बड़ा सिंपल क्वेश्चन है. लेट मी रिपीट अगेन. अगर मेरी IGST की लाइबिलिटी है, इज इट मैंडेटरी दैट आई हैव टू यूज CGST, SGST, IGST? कोई ऑर्डर है या जो मेरी इच्छा करे आई कैन डू दैट? Answer is absolutely correct, that you have to use IGST first, then CGST, then SGST. What about, kindly give the answer. If I have the CGST का liability and I have the ITC under IGST, under CGST, under SGST, मेरे पास सिर्फ CGST का liability है, let's say equal amount of SGST that I will come. But if I have the CGST liability, what would be the order? Now you have the question in front of you. You have the question, kindly give the answer. Suppose I have the IGST nil, liability of the CGST is 20,000, liability of SGST is 20,000. You have the ITC under I, under C, under S. Please tell me what would be the closing balance of input tax credit ledger under each head. Also tell me which liability I will pay in cash. कौन सा liability है जो मुझे कैश में पे करना पड़ेगा? You all are requested to do the question given in front of you. What would be the head in which I have to pay in cash? what would be the closing balance? Okay, okay. Okay, I'm giving you 2-3 minutes. You apply or whatever you have the understanding, apply according to that and then give the answer. मैं वापस रिपीट करता हूं. Let me repeat once again. It is the liability you have in front of you. I have also given the closing balance under each head. You need to tell me which liability I have to pay in cash and what would be the closing balance of input tax credit. दो चीजें बतानी है मात्र. As of now, I am not satisfied with the answer that you have given. अभी तक मुझे मतलब पूरा सेटिस्फेक्शन या पूरा करेक्ट आंसर नहीं मिला है. वेटिंग फॉर योर आंसर. हेमंत, गिनी, ज्ञानेंद्र,
Yes, sir.
एवरीवन, प्लीज से इन द चैट कि मुझे कौन सा लाइबिलिटी कैश में पे करना ही पड़ेगा और व्हाट वुड बी द क्लोजिंग बैलेंस ऑफ इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट आफ्टर यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ. फाइन, थैंक यू मानसा. वेरी करेक्ट आंसर. टेल मी. ओके ओके, मैं इस क्वेश्चन को सॉल्व करता हूं बट इन द डिफरेंट मैनर. टेल मी, फॉर पेइंग द लाइबिलिटी ऑफ 20, will I use first IGST or will I use first CGST? Tell me, कौन सा मैं यूज करूंगा, IGST या CGST? You all tell me that which head I will use first for offsetting the liability of CGST. Answer is this is the first. Now, similarly, to discharge the liability of SGST, which head I will use first? CGST, SGST or IGST? Tell me, to make the payment of the SGST, which head I will use first? IGST or SGST? Again, answer is first IGST and it will be the second. My dear friend, after section 49 capital A and 49 capital B, these are the provision. They are saying that ITC of the C and ITC of S to be used for C and S only when IGST become 0. अब मतलब हुआ, जब तक आपके पास में IGST का क्रेडिट है, आप CGST की ITC को, SGST की ITC को इनकी लाइबिलिटी के लिए यूज नहीं कर सकते. It means you can use S here You can use C here, but only when it is 0. Correct? Now the second question comes, which has been clarified by Rule 88A and Circular 98. That IGST का जो क्रेडिट है, जो CGST और SGST में डिवाइड होगा, will it be first C and then second S, or it will be half? What would be the preference? What would be the order? Tell me कि IGST का क्रेडिट when it goes to C, when it goes to S, what would be the order? बहुत बढ़िया बेटा मानसा, बहुत बढ़िया. Any order, any proportion. This word any proportion has been given by Circular 98, clarified by the Circular 98. क्या मतलब हुआ? इसका मतलब you can do the allocation as per your choice. 20 here, 0 here. You can do 10-10. You can do 8-12. You can do 5-15. You can do 0-20. Whatever you want, you can do the allocation for IGST का ITC toward the C and S. What is the rule? That it should be 0. Now you will apply your logical mind here. You will apply your logical mind here. You might say sometime 10-10 is okay, sometime lesser amount to C, higher amount S. Might be that okay, depending upon the balance lying in the CGST and SGST. So abhi, whatever you want, you can say you can divide equally 10-10. Is the IGST ka credit become 0? Yes, sir. Now it is 0. Then you can use the CGST, you can use the SGST toward the liability of C and S. Now what is the amount? So total liability is 20. 10 is been taken from I. So balance 10 would be taken from C. CGST ka SGST ka liability 20. 10 has been taken from I. So the 10 would be from S. If I will do this allocation, closing balance under CGST 2000, closing balance under SGST would be 5,000. Nothing would be paid in cash. Is that clear? एक बार confirm करें. Is that clear? Okay. चलो sir. Let me read the provisions. Every deposit made toward the tax, interest, penalty, fee or other by a person by internet banking using credit card, debit card, NEFT, RTGS or any other mode shall be credited to the electronic cash ledger. ITC self-assist in the return of the registered person. Can you tell me which return? Can you tell me which return? Name of the return which the registered person file, and then amount of the ITC will be credited to the इलेक्ट्रॉनिक क्रेडिट लेजर. वो कौन सा रिटर्न है? नाम क्या रिटर्न का? द आंसर इज एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट बेटा, GSTR 3B. For input tax credit which return need to be furnished, that is GSTR 3B. GSTR 1 is the details of outward supply. So I have made the sales. I will report in the GSTR 1, but my ITC would be taken in the return GSTR 3B only. ठीक है. Once I will add the amount in the GSTR 3B, it will be credited to my electronic credit ledger. Amount available in the cash ledger can be used for payment of tax, interest, penalty fee, or any other liability. Amount available in the credit ledger may be used toward the payment of tax liability in such manner as may be prescribed. Question is, can you use the credit ledger for payment of fees, payment of interest, payment of penalty? क्या आप क्रेडिट लेजर को यूज कर सकते हैं टुवर्ड द पेमेंट ऑफ फी, पेनल्टी एटसेट्रा? क्रेडिट लेजर से क्या आप पेनल्टी का पेमेंट कर सकते हैं? आंसर इज नो. आंसर इज नो. You can use the credit ledger only for the payment of tax ka liability. Now let's move to the utilization of ITC, the order of utilization of input tax credit. First say integrated tax shall be first utilized toward the payment of integrated tax. It means IGST ka credit will always be used for IGST ka liability. IGST ka credit will always be used for IGST ka liability. And whatever the remaining amount, if any, it can be used for C or S in that order. This was the requirement initially. It means IGST ka ITC will be first used for IGST ka liability. Absolutely correct. It is same as on current date. Then C and then S. It was the order. But from 1st April 2019, that order has been changed by Section 49A, 49B, Rule 88A. ठीक है. CGST का ITC again shall be used for CGST का liability, and amount remaining, if any, may be used for IGST. SGST का ITC shall be used for the payment of SGST. Amount remaining, if any, can be used for IGST. Now, what is this? Let me explain with the help of example. Now see, you have the IGST credit, IGST ka liability of 10,000. You have the CGST ka liability of 5,000, SGST ka liability of 5,000. Similarly, you have the ITC of 555 under each head. Now tell me, IGST ka ITC will be given first to I, or first to C, or first to S, or any order, any manner. आप मुझे बताएं कि IGST के पास में जो ITC है, will it be given first to I, or it can be distributed in any order, in any manner? It will always first to I. Now by this, you tell me, क्या IGST के पास में कोई closing balance of ITC है? You tell me whether IGST have any closing balance of ITC? Answer is no. It is nil. Hemant, 5 has been used for IGST ka liability. Now, whether IGST ka credit, input tax credit, does have any balance? Answer is no.
No, sir, no. Yeah.
Now, you tell me that CGST require 5,000, whether IGST also require 5,000? Then this CGST ka ITC will be given first to C or first to I. मेरा पॉइंट ध्यान से समझिएगा. In this situation, there is no closing balance under I. Now, IGST also require liability. IGST को भी कुछ पैसा चाहिए. CGST also requires some amount. Now, C has some ITC. This amount will be given to C first, I first, or it will be divided half half. मुझे बताइए किस तरीके से ये लाइबिलिटी को आईटीसी का अमाउंट दिया जाएगा. किस लाइबिलिटी को ये 5000 सी अमाउंट देगा. वेयर इज द आंसर? द आंसर इज, read this clause B. Read this clause B. CGST का ITC shall be first utilized toward the payment of C, and the amount remaining, if any, it may be utilized toward the payment of I. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? क्लोजिंग बैलेंस सी की लाइबिलिटी के बाद में अगर बचता है तो आई को दिया जाएगा. सेम इज फॉर एसजीएसटी. It means, what would be the answer? What would be the answer? Always, every head will give the amount to their own head. Every head will give the amount to their own head. Donation will come when they will satisfy own liability. आज आप एक बात बताइए, हम भी कभी दान करते हैं. लेट्स से वी नीड टू डोनेट. तो अगर मेरे घर की लाइबिलिटी खत्म हो जाएगी तभी तो मैं डोनेशन कर पाऊंगा. Isn't it? I need to donate somewhere. But first I have to satisfy my own liability ना. मेरे घर में तो पैसों की रिक्वायरमेंट है, मैं डोनेशन कर रहा हूं. ऐसा कभी होगा? आंसर इज नो. सेम गोस फॉर दिस यूटिलाइजेशन. मतलब पहला रूल तो फिक्स है, ये इसको देगा, ये इसको देगा, ये इसको देगा. एंड नाउ एनी एक्सेस लाइबिलिटी, एक्सेस आईटीसी विल बी डोनेटेड. आई का रूल क्या डोनेट करने का? इट कैन बी इन एनी ऑर्डर, इन एनी मैनर, एनी प्रपोर्शन. सी का रूल क्या है? इट विल गिव ओनली टू आई. कैन सी गिव टू एस? कैन सी गिव टू एस? Answer is no. C and S will never give to each other. Thank you. That also will come only when I have the excess amount. Thank you. CGST, ITC can be used for SGST. Answer is no. So C will never donate to S. S will never donate to C. Now, tell me which liability I need to pay in cash, and what would be the closing balance of input tax credit? कौन सा लाइबिलिटी, कौन सा हेड का लाइबिलिटी आई नीड टू पे इन कैश, एंड व्हाट वुड बी द क्लोजिंग बैलेंस? Venkata Harshita Kumar, very nice. I am able to see your every answer. Almost all are correct. Almost all are correct. Oh, today Karthik A has also joined. K Prashant, great. So I am requesting, if possible, kindly join the Zoom. Kindly join the Zoom link, point number 1, where we can interact to each other. Venkata, Harshit Kumar, and Prashant and Karthik. The closing balance in my practical question, what would be the closing balance? The closing balance under I would be 0, C would be 0, S would be 0. कौन सी लाइबिलिटी मुझे कैश में पे करनी है, दैट इज इंपॉर्टेंट टास्क. we have told that it will give first to I, remaining balance is 0. Now I would also require, C would also require. C किसको donate करेगा? C will give the amount to its own liability. Is there any closing balance? No. Again, SGST has 5,000. SGST has the liability also 5,000. I ka liability is also remaining 5,000. Whom it will given? Answer is it will give to its own head. So again इसका closing balance 0. So which liability, which head need the cash, under which head we need to pay the liability in cash? Answer is IGST. Now the last very interesting point. Same example I'm continuing. Only I have changed the ITC of C and S. Now what is my question? Kindly focus. We know that I will give to I ka liability, C will give to C ka liability, S will give to S ka liability. Now if I will say, now the closing balance is 0, closing balance is 10,000, closing balance is 10,000. My point here, what I like to explain in this example, here. Will C give the 5,000 entire, or C or S will give the 2.5, or any order, any proportion? ये बात बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड किस लाइबिलिटी की डिस्चार्ज की बात कर रहे हैं हम. विच लाइबिलिटी वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट? वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट IGST का लाइबिलिटी. फ्रॉम विच इज वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट टेकिंग द ITC? वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट टेकिंग द ITC फ्रॉम C एंड S. ये ध्यान रखना, जब CS का ITC I को जाता है और I का ITC CS को जाता है, यहां पे रूल चेंज हो जाएगा. Okay. Your name is Ashutosh. You told me last time also. You told me, I missed. Sorry. हाँ आशुतोष, तो मुझे बताइए, कार्तिक, प्रशांत, where are you, sir? I need the answer. क्या रूल है? The rule. Let me read the rule. Now let me read the rule. What is the rule? Rule says when IGST का ITC, if it has excess balance, it will gives to C or S. Here they have used the word any order, any proportion, any manner. But when C or S giving the amount to I, there is order. The first would be C, and if the C becomes 0, C does not have the amount, then only S will give the amount. Where it is written, now read the proviso. Read the proviso. This proviso I'm talking about. It says that ITC of S will be used toward the I only when the balance in the C is not available. It means C and S, no concept of any order, any manner, any proportion. No, it will have the order first C and then S. I hope it is clear. नॉर्मली कंफ्यूजन कहां पे होता है? नॉर्मली कंफ्यूजन होता है एनी ऑर्डर यहां पे या एनी ऑर्डर यहां पे, दोनों जगह या कहीं पे भी नहीं. सो आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट व्हेन आई गिव द डोनेशन आफ्टर यूटिलाइजिंग द लाइबिलिटी टुवर्ड द आई, बैलेंस IGST का ITC have the concept of any order, any manner, any proportion. But yes, when C or S donate the amount to I, there is an order. It is not like any proportion, any manner. No. तो क्या solution हुआ? The answer is 5, 5, 5. We have already answered. Now it need the 5. Whether C has the 5? Yes. So it will take entire amount from C. Closing balance, it will be 0, it will be 5, it will be 10. No liability will be paid in cash. That we have discussed. Now let's read, let's move further. Let's move further that the balance in the cash or credit ledger after payment of tax, interest, penalty, etc. may be refunded in accordance with section 54. So myself is going to teach the concept of input tax, credit ka refund, cash ledger ka refund. I will take, so rest to be sure, we will discuss. But it is not that in every situation you can take the closing, you can take the refund of credit. No. Cash, it is permitted, no problem. But credit, always remember there is only two situations wherein we can take the refund of credit ledger. Wherein we can take the refund of ITC only in two situations. Otherwise, it is never ever permitted. Whatever the liability you have, it will be recorded and maintained in the liability register. So when I will go to the electronic liability register, yes, we will discuss. There is a two part. Part one is the returns related liability and part two is the other than returns, other liability. क्या बात है, very nice Gyanendra. Every taxable person shall discharge his tax, other dues in following order. First is self-assessed tax and dues previous tax period, then current tax period, and after that demand of 73, 74. Why I am mentioning 74A? Always remember it is already added from 1st November 2024. So I have added the section 74A also. Every person who paid the tax on goods or services or both under this act shall, unless the contrary is proved, deemed to have the pass full incidence of the tax to the recipient. ये यू इस पर्टिकुलर प्रोविजन का इंपॉर्टेंस रिफंड में काफी ज्यादा है. There's a concept of
so unless the country report be deemed to have passed on the full incidence of such to the recipient of such.
मैं समझा नहीं, वापस बोलिए. You mean to, hello, Hemant?
No, sir, wrongly I have put the speaker on. I am very sorry, sir.
Okay. No problem. Now this provision, it means if I have paid the taxes on my supply, when I'm raising the invoice, it means prima facie, it is proved that I have passed the incidence to you. Unless the contrary is proved, now that could be the possibility if it is otherwise proved. A registered person on the common portal transfer any amount of tax, interest, penalty, fee or other in the electronic cash ledger to the electronic cash ledger. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? There is a concept of PMT 09. I will log into the portal and will try to explain. क्या मतलब है PMT 9 का? PMT 9 can be used for shifting the major head and minor head to the another major head and minor head. Major head की बात करूं तो मतलब क्या हुआ? What is the meaning of the major head? ICS. What is the meaning of minor head? Tax, interest, penalty, fee, other. You have the closing balance. You have the closing balance of the electronic cash ledger of rupees 2000 under IGST in the tax. If you like to move this amount, let's say under penalty, of CGST. Under penalty of CGST, can you do so? Yes. Subsection 10 says that in the cash ledger, you can shift within the GST number and again from one PAN to the another PAN as well. आप within the GST number, you can shift to any head. From one GST number to the another GST number of same PAN, you can shift IGST or you can shift CGST. यहां पर एक स्टेट को दूसरे स्टेट में ट्रांसफर करने का परमिशन नहीं है. The cash ledger lying in the SGST cannot be transferred to the distinct person. Either it can be transferred I or it can be transferred C. And they are saying this transfer means it will be deemed to be the refund from the cash ledger. No such transfer shall be allowed. No such transfer shall be allowed if registered person has any unpaid liability in the liability register. तो कोई भी रिफंड नहीं दिया जाएगा if you have the liability where any amount has been transferred to the cash ledger, same shall be deemed to be the deposited. It means अगर आप एक जगह से ट्रांसफर करते हो, it means it will be deemed that refund has been given, and once it will be added to the another, it is deemed that you have deposited that amount. Notwithstanding anything contained government on the recommendation subject to condition restriction, maximum proportion of output tax liability which may be discharged through credit ledger by the registered person as may be prescribed. क्या मतलब हुआ? You might have already read that you can maximum use 99% ITC. Very nice, Aman. Maximum you can use 99% ITC for the liability. When this we will discuss in the rule 88B, which talks about 86B, which talks about 86A, 86B, 88A, 88B. All the rules we will discuss, which talks about not 88B. 88B is for interest, which talks about if you have the turnover of more than 50 lakhs, some exceptions are there that we will discuss. Okay. 49B, I have already explained that order. 49A and B, I have already explained. Okay. I'm not reading. Fine, no problem. Let me read. एक मिनट बाकी you are telling एक मिनट एक क्वेश्चन है. Let me handle that question first. Sir, you are telling first UC for I, but in our company we are using first S, entirely paying the cash to S. Toward the I, you mean to say toward the I? Ashutosh, you are saying you are using S toward the I. Ashutosh, can you confirm that you are talking about IGST ka liability? You have the ITC in the C, still you can use SGST for discharging the liability of I. Is that you mean to say? Cash does not have any problem. Cash does not have any problem. You can use So without using the ITC, you can discharge the liability in cash. There is no problem. Why no problem? Otherwise, this concept of 99% cannot be applied at all. But you are saying you have the ITC in the C, and now you are using the SCA ITC toward the ICA liability. If this is the case, my dear friend, if this is the case, my dear friend, I like to see that you have the board of studies ka email ID. Ashutosh, you have the email ID of the board of studies. Kindly share that screenshot to the email ID. We'll look into the same. We'll look into the same. Okay. Now, notwithstanding anything contained in section 49, ITC on account of the CGST, SGST, or UTGST shall be utilized toward the payment of I, C, and S after ITC under I has been completely utilized toward the such payment. It means it says I has to become 0. Then you can use C, S, whatever we have discussed. Second, it says that the anything contained subject to the provision of clause E of 49.5, whatever we have discussed, 49.5. It says that ITC on account of I, C, S, or U toward the payment of such tax. It can be in any order, it can be in any manner. So that is the point which we have discussed. It can be 50-50, it can be 100-0, it can be 10-90, 90-10, whatever you want. And that circular 98, which we talked about, explain. Now let's move to the एक मिनट दीजिए मेरे को. If you have any question, please let me know first. Toward the payment of these offsetting of tax liability, if you have any point, please let me know. इंटरेस्ट में भी आता हूं मैं, 2 मिनट दीजिए मेरे को. एक सेकेंड. Fine. No question. Okay. So electronic liability register rule 85. So you can check the liability. Part 1 is the returns related liability and part 2 is the other liability. Returns related liability, whenever you file your GSTR 3B, like example, then it will be divided into 2 parts other than reverse charge and reverse charge. You have used cash ledger, you have used ITC accordingly. In which mode you have discharged the liability, it will have the that mode. So in this way, this will be credit, this will be debit, and closing balance will be calculated by this returns related liability. In the same manner, other than returns related liability, suppose any demand order has been issued, DRC 7. So you are not required to remember this form number, but yes, then it will create the liability and how you made the payment. Like you are using the DRC 03 or sometime you are using the demand against liability. Whatever you have used, it will credit. Now, what is the electronic liability register? Now we will read every provision. electronic liability registered specified in 49 subsection 7 shall be maintained in PMT01 for each person liable to pay tax, interest, penalty, late fee or other. Electronic liability register shall be debited amount payable toward the tax, interest, penalty, others as per the returns, and second, amount of the tax, interest, penalty as determined by the proper officer in pursuance of any proceeding, or any amount of the interest that may accrue from time to time, subject to the provision of section 49, 49A and 49B. Payment of every liability shall be made by debiting the credit ledger maintained as per the rule 86, cash ledger maintained as per the rule 87, and the liability shall be credited accordingly. So जो भी liability आप पे करेंगे, जो भी रिटर्न्स के अकॉर्डिंग है, वो डेबिट होगा क्रेडिट लेजर में, मेंटेन्ड एज पर द रूल और कैश लेजर जैसा भी आपने किया, एंड लाइबिलिटी रजिस्टर्ड, सो कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंगली एक डेबिट हो गया, एक क्रेडिट हो गया अकॉर्डिंगली. Now, amount deducted under section 51 or amount collected in the section 52, that we need to discuss today. Section 51 we will discuss today, and section 52 we will discuss in the next class. This is TDS and 52 is the TCS. Or the amount payable under RCM or the amount payable under section 10, any amount payable toward the interest, penalty fee or others shall be paid by debiting the cash ledger maintained as per rule 87, and the liability shall be credited accordingly. So whenever you will pay the liability in cash ledger, obviously the liability of the TDS, liability of TCS, RCM का liability, section 10 का liability has to be paid in cash. Any amount of the demand debited in the liability shall stand reduced to the extent of the relief given by the authority, and it will be credited accordingly. Suppose I have the demand and I have filed the appeal, and appeal has been given in my favor. In that case, this liability would get credited. Liability registered would get credited. Amount of the penalty or impose the liable to be imposed can reduce partly or fully if taxable person make the payment of the tax, interest, penalty specified in so-called notice or demand order, and accordingly the liability register will get credited. A register shall notice upon noticing any registered person, upon noticing any discrepancy, communicate the same to the officer on the common portal. Now, what is the credit ledger? It is very simple. See, sometimes credit ledger is also as the concept of blocking of credit ledger, right? Power of the block, unblock credit ledger, rule 86. That we will discuss. That officer has the power to block your ITC ledger. Correct. Now, what is the provision? Electronic credit ledger shall be maintained in the PMT02 for each registered person eligible for ITC and the common portal, and every claim of the ITC shall be credited. Electronic credit ledger shall be debited to the extent of the discharge of the liability in accordance with the provision of section 49, 49 capital A and 49 capital B. When the registered person has claimed the refund, then the amount will be debited to the credit ledger. If the refund is rejected, again it will be recredited. Now this is very important concept. Earlier, whenever the refund has been granted, the refund would be granted always in the cash ledger. But now the concept of PMT03 and PMT03A was added in the law, which talks about in some cases the amount of refund, instead of giving into the cash, it will be credited back to the electronic credit ledger. What is that concept? We'll try to discuss in the refund chapter, where the registered person has claimed refund of amount paid as wrongly paid or in excess of the debited made from the credit ledger. Amount, if found admissible, shall be recredited to the credit ledger, not required to go to the refund chapter. Here they are saying, suppose I have paid the tax in excess. I was supposed to pay 1 lakh, but I have wrongly paid 10 lakh. But what was the mode of 10 lakh? 10 lakh ka payment has been used toward or from credit ledger. So when I will apply the refund for 9 lakh, they will give the refund. This time refund would be given in the credit ledger, not in the cash. Where a registered person deposit the amount of erroneously refund sanctioned to him, then under section 54 subsection 3, where a registered person deposit the amount of erroneously refunded sanctioned to him under 54.3 and rule 96. This is basically a refund of ITC. This is basically refund of tax paid or refund of IGST paid on the export. Cash. ठीक है, along with interest and penalty wherever applicable. क्या कह रहा है ये? अगर किसी ने डिपॉजिट कर दिया है, क्या डिपॉजिट कर दिया है? रिफंड. इट मींस I have discharged my liability, I have the ITC or I have the IGST paid, which I have taken the refund, but refund was erroneously granted to me or it was excess granted. So now the refund which I have received in excess, I have to pay back now. That will be obviously paid by DRC 03. Then it says a registered person deposit the amount along with interest penalty through DRC 03. Then by debiting the cash ledger on or is being pointed out an amount equivalent to the amount of erroneously refund deposited by the registered person. Ab, try to understand, sir. Try to understand. I have ITC. Now see, I have the ITC of 1 lakh rupees. I have applied the refund of rupees 1 lakh. You department has given the refund of 1 lakh. Matter closed. Now it is found that the refund should be for 90,000 only. Tell me in the chat, kitna refund मैंने excess लिया? Tell me in the chat box how much amount I have taken the refund in excess. $10,000. 10,000. It is saying that I will pay in cash. Obviously, because I have received in my bank account, so I will pay in cash. So I'm paying in cash. If I'm paying in cash, matter closed, or I would need something. Whether matter is closed or I would need something. Tell me, मैंने अपनी ITC जो 1 लाख थी इसका रिफंड लिया. They have given the refund in my bank account, out of which 10,000, which is excess, I have deposited again through DRC 03. Is there any problem or everything is closed? Interest is okay. Interest is okay. इसके अलावा कुछ प्रॉब्लम है सर. 1 lakh was my ITC, correct? I have applied the refund. 1 lakh is converted. So 1 lakh ITC is being reduced. 1 lakh ka cash is being increased, out of which I have given 10,000 back. Now, would I not need 10,000 again in the ITC? Whether I would not need 10,000 again in the ITC? एक बात देखिए ना सर, 10,000 अगर मैंने पे कर दिया तो मुझे वापस ITC तो दो 10,000 का. Don't you think that I would require 10,000 back in my ITC ledger? For that, they are saying yes, the recredited in the credit ledger in GST through GST PMT 03A. क्या requirement है? Is that clear? What is the requirement? Is that clear? Why they've used the concept of PMT 3A DRC 3A for confirm करना? Everyone, Gyanendra, Jini. Okay, let me explain once again. Let me explain once again. What is the balance in the ITC? Answer is 1 lakh. How much amount is refundable? 90,000. Suppose I have applied the refund of 90,000. Tell me what is the closing balance of ITC? Answer is 10,000. ये 90,000 का refund मुझे cash में मिल गया. That is perfectly okay. It means what should be the ideal situation? What should be the ideal situation? Your cash or bank should have 90,000 and your ITC should have 10,000. Correct ना? यही तो actual. But मैंने किया क्या यहाँ पर? What I have did, I have wrongly applied 1 lakh. So when I will apply 1 lakh rupees to my ITC, closing balance would be 0. When I apply 1 lakh rupees, the refund of 1 lakh is being given in cash. Now they are saying because it is excess, so I have paid through DRC 03A, DRC 03. Now, if I have paid the DRC 03, tell me how much net amount I have received in my bank account. I can say I have received 10 I have given back, so balance is 90. What is the situation? So you have the bank 90,000, but at this point you do not have ITC, nothing. What you require? In this case, you require at least when you make the payment through DRC 03, you need this amount should back in the ITC. For that, this 86 would be saying it will be refunded through PMT 03A, and this refund would be recrediting amount in the credit ledger. Clear? Is that clear? Great. So save as provided in the provision, no entry shall be directly in the electronic credit ledger under any circumstances. A registered person, upon noticing any discrepancy in the credit ledger, communicate the same. Okay. Now, Rule 86A. So, what is the Rule 86A? Just actually last 10,000 में confused. No problem बेटा, no problem, no problem. पॉसिबल है क्योंकि अभी आप लोगों के लिए बिल्कुल नया है लॉ, इतना ज्यादा प्रैक्टिकल अंडरस्टैंडिंग नहीं है. नो प्रॉब्लम, आई विल एक्सप्लेन वॉट एवर यू आस्क द क्वेश्चन. अभी जस्ट 10 मिनट का ब्रेक लेते हैं एंड आफ्टर दैट 7:05 पर हम लोग वापस रिज्यूम करते हैं एंड देन वी विल स्टार्ट द रूल 86 से. ठीक है अशोक जी, एक बार 10 मिनट का ब्रेक स्टार्ट कर दीजिए. We were talking about electronic cash ledger, electronic credit ledger, electronic liability register. We have already discussed Circular 98. One question of Circular 172 is related to credit ledger, cash ledger. What is that? Whether the amount available in the credit ledger can be used for making the payment of taxes under the CGST law. They have given the reference of the 49.4. We have already discussed. Rule 86.2 we have already discussed. Now what they are saying, output tax in relation to the taxable person who is registered or liable to be registered under 22-24 is defined in the clause 82 as the tax chargeable on the taxable supplies, but exclude the RCM. Accordingly, it has been clarified that any payment toward the output tax, whether self-assessed in the return or payable as a consequence of any proceeding instituted under the provision of the GST law, can be made by utilizing the credit ledger. मैं रिपीट करता हूं, very important. This part is very important. Self-assessed, we are very clear, because when we are filing the GST R3B, it is nothing but the self-assessed. No problem. We have the output tax liability, we are using the ITC. There is no problem. Now the point is, if there is any demand created, can we use ITC? Can be used ITC or not? That has been clarified. Circular 172. My dear friend, it is very important clarification that even I can use the ITC for any demand which is instituted under the any proceeding, any because of any other liability which is created on me, I can use my ITC for the tax part.
Sir, even for interest?
No, only see that has been clearly written, taxes only. That has been clearly written in the section 49 subsection 4.
Okay, sir.
So taxes is okay, whether it is normal tax liability, return related liability, or it is liability because of any demand, you can use the ITC only for tax part. Whether the amount available in the credit can be used for making of any payment liability other than taxes, answer would be no. Other than tax, answer would be no. It cannot be used for making the payment of interest, penalty, fee or other. Okay. Whether the amount available in the cash ledger can be used for making of any liability under the GST law, answer is yes. 49 subsection 3, amount available in the cash ledger may be used for making the payment, whether it is tax, interest, penalty, fee or other. No problem. So these 3 points has been clarified by the Circular 172, which we have discussed. Very important circular. Now let's move to सेक्शन एक मिनट रुकिए मेरे को. Rule 86A. What is that Rule 86A? Basically, Rule 86A, the condition of use of the amount in the credit ledger. Commissioner or an officer authorized not below the rank of assistant commissioner, having the reason to believe that credit lying in the credit ledger has been fraudulently availed or ineligible. As much the credit has been availed on the tax invoice or debit note under Rule 36, which has been issued by the registered person found non-existent, or not to be conducting any business from any place for which registration has been obtained without the receipt of the goods or services or both. Can you tell me, is it the condition for taking the ITC? Anybody who can recall the 16 subsection 2 discussed multiple condition? This is the condition, and please confirm, is it also this is the condition for taking the ITC? Answer is, if you read 16 subsection 2 clause B, it says that goods or services has been received. So if you are receiving the goods or services, then only you can take the ITC. If without receipt of the goods, you can't take service. So obviously it is fraudulently availed or ineligible. But this is not the condition in the 16 subsection 2. No, it is new condition added in the 86A. The credit has been availed on the strength of the tax invoice. The tax charge has not been paid to the government. Tell me, is it the condition in the 16.2? See, now it is a revision of 16.2. It is a revision of 16.2. चलो मैं आप लोगों से ये पूछना चाहता हूं, I like to ask, how many conditions can you tell me that for taking the ITC in the 16.2? Please tell me the condition, whatever the condition you tell me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, जितनी condition आप मुझे बता सकते हैं ना, kindly give in the chat. It is a revision, I can say, and let me check whether how much provision you can recall, and it is very basic understanding. 16.2. 16.2 में कुछ कंडीशन है आईटीसी लेने की. टेल मी द कंडीशन. एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट. ज्ञानेंद्र ने 2 बताया. फुल्ली एग्री विद दैट. ज्ञानेंद्र हैज टोल्ड 2 कंडीशन. नो, एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट. नो इश्यू. एनी अदर? मैं ठीक है. ज्ञानेंद्र एग्री. एनी अदर कंडीशन? मानसा, धनी, हेमंत, काइंडली टेल मी. Very nice. Ashutosh has given very important condition. Absolutely correct, Gyanendra. So first condition, invoice received, all you have given me the answer. Goods received, second condition. Third is, this transaction should appear in my GSTR 2B. Is that condition? That transaction should appear in my GSTR 2B. Is it a condition for taking the ITC? Yes, it is a condition. And tax has been paid to the government. Can you recall section 41, 41A? Some reference has been given. Tax has been paid to the government. Answer is yes, this is the condition. This is the condition. So I can say that again, this is the condition of 16.2. This is also the condition of 16.2. This is the new, I can say it is not given in the 16.2, no problem. The credit जो आपने avail किया है, that has been paid by the supplier to the government. Then we are saying the ITC which is availed by the recipient is non-existence. Obviously, the non-existence condition is new, added by the rule 86A. The registered person availing the ITC is not in the possession of taxpayers. ये भी तो अपना 16.2 का condition है, पहला वाला. Now these are the total 5 points. I can say supplier is non-existence, recipient is non-existence, supplier has not paid the tax to the government, recipient has not received the tax invoice, or recipient has not received the goods. These are the 5. If these are the 5, because of these, it appear. No, it is not that it appear. क्या word लिखा हुआ है? Reason to believe. ध्यान रखना दोस्तों, reason to believe is much wider. Let's say I am a GST officer and if I need to take the action on the credit ledger blocking, in that case I have to reason the believe. ऐसा नहीं बस मुझे लगा, if I see yes इसका ITC ठीक नहीं, इसको ब्लॉक कर दो. No, I have to reason why it looks that credit is ineligible, why it is the fraudulent ITC. Because of any 5 reason, तो मुझे ऐसा लगा that I need to have, it should not be judgmental, it should not be like simply believe, simply reason, simply appear that yes I should block. No, इसमें आपको क्या ध्यान रखना है? Always remember, not below the rank of the joint commissioner, reason to believe, and these 5 points. Now then what happened? Reason to be recorded in writing, not allow debit. So much of the credit lying in the credit ledger for claiming the refund or making the liability. मतलब आपकी जो liability है, सॉरी जो ITC है, उस ITC को ब्लॉक कर देंगे. You can't use for these purpose. Again, the commissioner or the officer, upon being satisfied, they will disallowing the debit no longer exist. Then they will allow the debit. So you can make a request to the commissioner and commissioner satisfied, then yes, they will allow you to debit. Such restriction will automatically cease after the expiry of the 1 year from the date of imposing the restriction. 86A, blocking the ledger, credit ledger. Now the 86B is 99% ITC, 1% all has to be paid in cash.
Sure. That 1 year. So that 1 year thing, what is that? I didn't understand, sir. But how it will get rectified automatically?
It's controlled by the system. GST portal has inbuilt that the date when they are debited now, automatically it will allow you to debit the date on which they have blocked the credit. उसकी 1 साल के बाद में it will automatically open.
But if nothing happens, like on the field, on the ground, nothing has happened.
It will automatically happen because it is controlled by the portal.
Okay.
But let's say it is nothing happen, then also you can request to the officer manually.
Okay, sir. Okay.
86B is basically you can use maximum 99% ITC. 1% has to be paid in cash. What is the requirement? That if the value of taxable supplies is more than 50 lakh, is it the 50 lakh tax hai ya value of the sale hai? Answer is value. Will it include exempt? Will it include zero rated? No. In calculation of the 50 lakh, you will not add. एक बात ध्यान रखिएगा, you might receive in the bigger question or in any of the question might be the tax liability is more than 50 lakh and they are asking the question in which how much you will use ITC. Please do not forget you will use maximum 99% ITC. ये कई बार मैंने देखा है, they are asking the question which is inbuilt in some other question कि जहां पर आपकी सेल की वैल्यू कितनी है 50 लाख से ज्यादा, then they are asking that कितना लाइबिलिटी मुझे कैश में पे करना पड़ेगा. It will not be directly but it will be indirect manner. It will not apply. So there are 5 exceptions. What are the 5 exceptions? If the said registered person या तो proprietor है या करता है, मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर है, टू एनी ऑफ इट्स टू पार्टनर, मतलब मिनिमम 2 पार्टनर होने चाहिए ना पार्टनरशिप फॉर्म में, तो एनी पार्टनर, WTD होल टाइम डायरेक्टर, मैनेजिंग कमिटी of association board of trustee have paid more than 1 lakh as income tax in each of the last 2 years. Which 2 financial year for which the time to file the return has been expired? One exception is that, or I can say that if you have paid the income tax more than rupees 1 lakh in the 2 preceding financial year, then no issue, 50 lakh ka limit will not be applicable or this requirement of 1% cash will not be applicable. Again, if you have received the refund of more than 1 lakh because of section 54, it means the refund of ITC, then also it is not applicable. Again, if you have taken the refund of cash in taxes paid in IGST 54.3, sorry, this is 54.3.2, it is inverted duty structure. Sorry, this is inverted duty structure. Okay, what was the last? एक बार वापस जाता हूं पीछे. The last one is, the previous one is 54.3.1. It is talking about the refund of ITC by virtue of export or zero rated, export or resident. So if you have taken the refund because of the clause 1, that is export, 54.2 because of 54.3.2 because of inverted duty structure, and suppose you have already paid the liability more than 1%. So suppose in any of the preceding month in that financial year, in the month of let's say May, my liability was let's say 1 crore, but I do not have the ITC, then I will pay in cash. So might be you have already discharged the cash more than 1% cumulatively, then again 1% will not be applicable in the current tax period. And if the registered person is like government, PSU, local authority, statutory, then it is not applicable, provided that commissioner by him may remove the restriction after verification, and proper verification करने के बाद में he can remove the restriction. Electronic cash ledger we have discussed, so I'm skipping this part, cash ledger wala. Order of utilization of input tax credit. The ITC shall be first utilized toward the payment, so that we have already discussed rule 88A and 88B. We have already 88B we need to discuss. Now let's move to the interest on delayed payment of tax. एक बार थोड़ा रिवीजन कर लेते हैं. Let me take some revision. Let me take 5-10 minutes. All are there. All are present. Gyanendra, Hemant, Jini, Manisha. Everyone is there. Mansa, sorry, not Manisha. Everyone is here. एक बार confirm करना quickly. You all are here. Great. कुछ revision कर लें. Whatever we have discussed. Let's read. Let's try to revise. 10 minutes, not maximum. Then we'll come back to the discussion. Which liability will always be paid in cash? It cannot be. Which tax liability? Let me rectify my question. Which tax liability has to be paid in cash? Absolutely correct, Gyanendra. Harshit, Ashutosh's motive for that probably would be this fake transaction. The people are doing, see, in the entire fake channel, fake credit, it is not one party. There would be the multiple parties. See, in the fake, what would happen? There would be the multiple parties involved. They actually not exist in the system. Okay? And the whatever they are taking the ITC, entirely fake ITC. So it means they will use the ITC liability, they will pass on the credit. No one will pay in cash. It's only book entry. Now they are saying at least 1% pay in cash. So it creates the problem, slight problem to the fake entities, to the fake transaction. That could be the one of the reason which I could understand. Answer is which tax I am talking about, tax liability. So I do agree, Hemant Mansa, Jini, that interest, penalty, late fees, it will always be paid in cash. But my question is, कौन सा tax का liability will be paid through cash only? Tax interest penalty fee that I know. I'm talking about the tax which can be paid in cash. The answer is Gyanendra has given the correct answer. Absolutely correct. RCM, reverse charge. Reverse charge liability. I have the ITC in my CGST. Can I transfer this ITC to SGST or to IGST? I have the ITC in one head. Can I transfer the ITC within the pen, within the GST number? Can I transfer to the another head? I have the input tax credit, let's say CGST. Can I transfer this ITC to IGST? Adhitos will inform to the department, will inform to the government. Can you transfer? I'm requesting everyone to give the answer. Can you transfer the ITC from one major head to the another major head, from minor head to the another minor head? Can we transfer? Answer is no. Answer is no. We can do the transfer of only cash. Only cash. We can't transfer the ITC. We can't transfer the ITC. Okay. Next question. I know that we can transfer from major head to minor head, from minor head to major head, another minor head. We can also transfer. Can we also transfer in the distinct person from one PAN, from one GST number to the another GST of same PAN? Can we transfer cash? Answer is yes. Is there any restriction? क्या एक GST नंबर से दूसरे GST नंबर में मैं कैश ट्रांसफर कर सकता हूं? Is there any restriction? Is there any restriction? Yes, absolutely correct. We can do the transfer. We can do the transfer of only. Ashutosh, what happened? I'm not receiving your reply. Will not inform to the department here. Rest to be sure. Just kidding. And you are also kidding. I know. We cannot transfer SGST from this to another GST number. किसके लिए बात कर रहे हैं? ट्रांसफर के लिए, कैश लेजर के ट्रांसफर के लिए सीए सर्टिफिकेट, कैश लेजर के ट्रांसफर के लिए सीए सर्टिफिकेट. मैंने तो नहीं सुना. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. It will require the CS certificate. Transferring the cash? No. In my understanding, no. Maybe that is ITC 02 you are talking about. As per section 18, subsection 3 you are talking about. ITC. When you are transferring the ITC merger amalgamation, that is different thing, sir. That is the merger amalgamation, etc. This is not the transfer of the ITC from one pen to the another, one GST number to the another GST number. It is only permitted if you are nahi, Ashutosh, it is not permitted in every case. You are giving the reference of 18 subsection 3. That is okay because you are doing the amalgamation, merger, transfer of the business. That is okay. But in every case, in normal case, you can't do this. Like cash, we can do. Next question. In any order, any manner, can you tell me any order, any manner, any proportion from which ITC to which liability? कौन सी ITC को कौन से हेड की लाइबिलिटी के लिए एनी ऑर्डर एनी मैनर वाला कॉन्सेप्ट अप्लाई करना पड़ेगा या किया जा सकता है? वी कैन यूज द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ एनी ऑर्डर एनी मैनर फ्रॉम विच ITC टू विच लाइबिलिटी. वेरी वेरी नाइस क्वेश्चन. नहीं, आप हर्ष एक बार बात बताना मेरे को. आप मर्जर अमालगमेशन की बात करें, am I right? ट्रांसफर ऑफ द बिजनेस मर्जर अमालगमेशन, या there is a new concept, rule 41 capital A, rule 41 capital A, which talks about ITC 02A. You are talking about that only. But ITC 2 is only for the transfer of the business. It is not permissible in the normal situation. No, Asutosh, it is not permissible in the normal situation. ITC 2 is permissible for 18 subsection 3 only. Merger amalgamation, it is permitted. No issue that. My question is, कौन सी ITC को कौन सी लाइबिलिटी के पेमेंट के लिए वी आर यूजिंग द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ एनी ऑर्डर एनी मैनर? Absolutely correct. IGST का क्रेडिट after utilizing the IGST. Very nicely explained, Mansa. Very nicely explained. You explained each and every angle. Very nice. IGST का क्रेडिट after utilizing the IGST का liability, remaining balance if any will be given to the CGST and SGST any order any manner. When the utilization will have the when the utilization, which utilization will have the restriction that this ITC can't be used for this liability? So Ashutosh, that is covered in 18 subsection 3 now. That is covered in 18 subsection 3. That is the perfect example of transfer of the business from one pen to the another pen. Am I right? From one pen to the another pen. We are talking about within the GST number. Can we do within the GST number the transfer of ITC? That was my question. Which C and S cannot be used, or S or C cannot be used. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Now let's move to the interest. Now, what is the concept that you have? First, let me ask the concept. If I am paying the liability, let's say due date is 20, I am paying the liability on 25, on 25th. Do I need to pay the interest? Assume that my liability, gross liability is 100 rupees. my gross liability is 100 rupees. I have the ITC of 90. Interest would be applicable on rupees 10 or on rupees 100. Absolutely correct. The net amount, it will be applicable. Where it is written? Now it says that if you are paying the tax liability later after the due date, then it will be levied on the portion of the tax which is being debited by the cash leaser. So I have the 100 ka liability. I have the ITC of 90 rupees. So how much amount you are paying through cash leaser? Answer is 10. So I will pay the interest only on 10. Clear? I will pay interest only on rupees 10. What will be the rate? Rate will be so much as will be prescribed, but maximum rate will be 18%. I'm giving you another example. In the month of April, let's say, you have the liability of 100, you have the ITC of 90, net liability is 10, but you have wrongly filed the nil return. Assume that you have filed the nil return wrongly. In the month of May, you have added this liability 100, you have added this ITC 90, and you are paying rupees 10 in cash. Question number 1, will the interest be applicable in this case? Question number 2, will the interest be applicable on 100 or 10? In the second example, will the interest be applicable on 100 or will the interest be applicable on 10? Will the interest be applicable on 100 or will the interest be applicable on 10? Why 100? Gyanendra, Hemant, why you are saying 100? Why not 10? Why 100? Why not 10?
Sir, he is not paid in the month of for the month of April.
Absolutely correct. Very nice. Very nice, beta. So the answer is, what is the word written in this case? Supplies of a tax period declared in the return for the said period. If you have the liability of April and which you are declaring in the month of May, then you can't take the advantage of amount debited in the cash ledger. No, not permitted. Not permitted. In that case, you have to pay the interest on the gross. This was of tax liability. Now this is of ITC. Interest shall be calculated as may be prescribed. So for that, we will read Rule 88P. Okay. Now for ITC, I have wrongly availed and utilized. Point to be noted, earlier it was different. They were talking about claimed. So if I have, suppose, now tell me, I have claimed the ITC of rupees 90 in the month of April. In the month of May, it is wrongly claimed. I am paying back 90 rupees. Will the interest be applicable? It is lying in the electronic credit ledger only. I have not used for the payment of liability. अगर ये मेरे क्रेडिट लेजर में है, इसको मैंने 1 महीने बाद गवर्नमेंट को वापस पे कर दिया, क्या इंटरेस्ट लगेगा? Will the interest be applicable in this case? Answer is no. Answer is no. In this case, interest is not applicable. Why not applicable? Because they are saying, and you have availed wrongly, but you have not used. If you have not used, no interest. What is the rate of interest on reversal of ITC? Let's say I have wrongly availed and utilized also. I am paying back to the government. What is the rate of interest? What is the rate of interest? Yes, it is saying not exceeding 24. But if you read the notification, they have retrospectively reduced and now it is 18%. Now it is 18%. ठीक है? I hope it is clear. On utilization of ITC availed this act for the payment of the tax under IGST in accordance with the provision of as reflected in the valid return amount collected as central tax then reduced by the amount equal to the credit utilized and the central government shall transfer the amount equal to the reduced by central tax to the IGST. So that is basically transfer. So if you are using for liability of C toward the I or liability of I toward the C, whenever you will do the cross utilization, the equivalent amount will be transferred from C to S or I, from C to I or I to C. Where any amount has been transferred from the cash ledger, the cash ledger from under CGST to SGST, the government will also transfer to the state tax. Equal amount will be transferred. So whenever you do the cross utilization, whether in the ITC or in the cash, equivalent amount will be transferred to that ledger because state is different, center is different, and IGST is different. So it will be transferred. Now we'll read the Rule 88B. Whatever we have discussed, it is written in the Rule 88B. In which condition the penalty got levied? In this case, penalty can be levied. So for that, we will read the respective penalty provision. So let's say I have collected the tax but not paid to the government for a period of more than 3 months. So there could be some penalty. Let's say I have availed the ITC wrongly, not utilized. Interest will not be applicable, but 73, the penalty under section 73 may be levied. So all these provision of section 122, 73, 74, that we will discuss in the penalty chapter. Is that fine? Absolutely correct. 73 is still having the word available, ITC avail or utilize. There is still word. So penalty can be levied, but Asutosh, fully agree with you. Penalty can be levied, but yes, interest will be levied only when and utilized. Fine, no? Is that okay? Now Rule 88B. Rule 88B is basically for the manner of calculation of interest. How the interest would be calculated. Very important amendment in the Rule 88B is the proviso. What is the new amendment that is also made applicable from, I think, October 24? What is the amendment? See, the amendment, all the things we have discussed, but what is the new amendment? That is the proviso, this proviso, where any amount has been credited in the cash ledger on or before the due date, but is debited from the said ledger for payment of tax while filing the return. अगर मैंने 20th को मैंने कैश लेजर में डिपॉजिट कर दिया, आई हैव द लाइबिलिटी ऑफ लेट्स से 100 रुपीज and which I have debited in my cash, which I paid, which I credited, which I have deposited in my cash ledger, but debit is made on 25th. Before October, this amendment, the interest was levied for 5 days. Now they are saying when any amount has been credited on or before the due date, but it is debited on the filing of the return, that amount shall not be taken into consideration while calculating the interest. Very, very important amendment with respect to interest. Now again, let me go back. Section 50 subsection 1 says that interest on tax payable, this you will have to pay the interest on the only on the cash portion. Except it means even if you are paying under the penal provision 73, 74, 74A, in the penal provision, you will not be able to take the advantage of this cash ledger wala. So the proviso would be applicable if you are paying the supplies, if you are paying the liability of a tax period in the same and declaring in the same tax period, liability of a month declared in the same month, then you can take the advantage, but it will not be applicable 73, 74 and 74A. Let's read the rule 88B in detail. If there is credit balance, so you mean to say that we have the circular, Gyanendra, we have the circular that we will read. If your question is not being answered after reading the circular, we'll discuss your question. Okay. In case where the supplies made during a tax period are declared in the return for the said period, and the said period return is furnished after the due date, except 73, 74, 74A, then interest on tax payable shall be calculated on the portion of the tax which is paid by debiting the cash ledger. Okay. Proviso we have already discussed in all other cases, means everything. Interest is payable will be calculated which remain unpaid for the period starting from the date on which tax was due till the date of such tax is paid at the rate as may be notified. Now, what is covered in the 88B subrule 2? Suppose you are declaring the liability of prior period. 88B1 would be applicable if you are filing the return after the due date. In the return, you are declaring the liability of the same tax period, then 88B ka subrule 1 is applicable. But if you are paying the liability of the previous month, then in this case, it will be covered by this provision, and it says that you have to pay, remain unpaid on the gross liability, you will pay the interest, the due date and actual payment, whatever the rate in the 50 subsection 1, on the same rate, you will pay the interest for the entire period. ITC, what they are saying, where interest is payable on the amount of ITC wrongly availed and utilized. They always say that please compare in the section 73, 74. And you have given the confirmation, Ashutosh, Gyanendra, everyone has given the confirmation, Dini, that in the section 73, the word is or, availed or utilized. Interest shall be calculated wrongly availed and utilized for the period starting from the date of such wrongly availed ITC till the date of reversal. and rate will be 50 subsection 3, that is 18%. Explanation. ITC wrongly availed shall be construed to have been utilized when the balance in the electronic credit ledger fall below the ITC wrongly availed, and the extent of ITC shall be amount by which the balance in the ECL fall below the amount of the ITC wrongly availed. मैं रीड करता हूं, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एक्सप्लेनेशन. ITC wrongly availed shall be construed to have been utilized. कब? मान लो आपके लेजर में 100 रुपए का बैलेंस था. You have taken the wrong ITC of rupees 90, and in the current, let's say on today date, you have the balance of, let's say, 75 rupees. It means you have used the ITC wrongly availed wala. कितना? The extent of amount which is reduced. ठीक है. The date of the utilization का मतलब क्या है? The date on which the return is due to be furnished, or actual date of the filing, whichever is earlier. ठीक है. If the balance in the ECL fall below the amount of the wrongly availed on account of the payment of the tax through said return, and date of debit in ECL when the balance fall below the amount of ITC wrongly availed in all other cases. Let me read one circular, then we will have the clarity, much more clarity. So, ठीक है, circular 98 we have already read, circular 172 we have already read. Now let me read the circular 192. Hope you are able to see the circular. एक बार quickly confirm करो. I hope you are able to see the circular 192 on my screen. Just quickly confirm that you are able to see. ठीक है. In case the wrong availment of IGST credit by a registered person and the reversal thereof, a calculation of interest in the rule 88B, when the balance of ITC in the electronic credit ledger under the head IGST only need to be considered, or C, in case of the wrong availment of IGST credit by a registered person and the reversal thereof. ठीक है. तो इंटरेस्ट जो है जब हम कैलकुलेट करेंगे अंडर रूल 88B, विल इट कंसिडर द बैलेंस ऑफ ITC in the head IGST, or need to be considered, या total input available in the IC and S together has to be considered. Why this problem arises? You have IGST, you have CGST, you have SGST. You have wrongly availed the ITC of rupees 90. It is wrong ITC. ठीक है. Now in the next month, you have the liability under I is 0. You have the liability in the C, let's say 100 rupees, and you have the exactly, let's say 45 rupees, and you have the liability under SGST rupees 45. ठीक है. You have the ITC under I is 90. You have the ITC in the C, let's say 50 rupees, and you have the ITC under S 50 rupees. Now, can you use this credit toward the payment of C without being used of IGST credit? क्या CGST का liability can be paid from CGST का ITC without being used by IGST का credit? Answer is no. Correct. So what would be your utilization? Might be you are using in this way 45, 45, 50, whatever the case may be. So this becomes 0. Still it has 40, 50, still it has 50. Now let's say after 3 months, and there is no transaction after that. After 3 months, the department comes that you have wrongly availed 90 rupees. Yes. So also utilize 90 because the balance is 0. Will the interest be applicable in the 88B? 50 subsection 3 says 50 subsection 3 says that if it is availed and utilized, if it is availed and utilized, prima facie, if I see only I, it has been availed and obviously it has been utilized because the balance is below 90. So utilize. But if that restriction is not there, कि I has to be used first, it might be possible that he can use C and S also now. In that case, I का balance तो 90 से कम होता ही नहीं. In that case, interest will not be applicable. So the question which has been clarified by Circular 192, that in case of this type of the adjustment, should the total ITC to be considered or only I to be considered? They are saying since the amount of ITC available under any head can be used for IGST, it is the total ITC available in the credit ledger taken together that has to be considered for the purpose of calculation of 88B. And for determination whether balance has fallen below amount of wrongly availed ITC of IGST and to what extent the balance in the credit has fallen below the said amount of the wrongly availed credit. इसके लिए मुझे total credit को use करना पड़ेगा. Therefore, where IGST credit has been wrongly availed and subsequently reversed on a certain date, there will not be any interest in 50 subsection 3 if during that time period is starting from such availment and up to such reversal, the balance in I, C and S, the balance in I, C and S, the balance if during the time period is starting from wrong availment and reversal, the balance in ICS taken together has never fallen below the amount of the wrongly availed. So I0, C50, S50, total 100. What was the wrong amount? 90. क्या 90 से कम हुआ? नहीं. तो इस केस में interest will not be applicable. Is it clear? Now, second part. However, when the balance of the ITC taken together fall below such wrongly availment, then it will amount to the utilization of wrongly availed IGST credit, and to the extent of utilization. And the extent of the utilization will be the extent of which fallen below. इसका मतलब, let's say balance is 80. It means the only rupees 10 is being utilized. Total credit was 90. Okay. Total credit was 90. Assume that current balance is 80. So it is treated that only 10 rupees has been used. So the interest would be applicable on not on entire 90. It will be applicable only on rupees 10. Next question. whether the credit of the compensation cess available in the electronic credit ledger shall be taken into account. So that is, I think, compensation cess is not. So you can read same answer has been given. Accordingly, credit of compensation cess available cannot be taken into account while considering the 88B. So obviously, compensation cess ITC cannot be used for liability of I, liability of C, liability of S. So this will not be taken into account. Okay. I hope it is clear. Everyone kindly confirm. This concept is clear to all. Circular 192. Concept is clear. एक बार quickly confirm करो. Now section 51. Let's take a break of another 10 minutes. Let's take a. I did not understand with respect to Hemant. Compensation cess का ITC cannot be used for the liability of ICS. Cess का ITC can't be used. So they are saying when you are calculating the interest, you are taking together all the ITC, but ITC of cess will not be added. So suppose you are doing the business of tobacco, then tobacco you are eligible to take the ITC of the compensation cess, assume. Then can you use the ITC of the cess toward the liability of I, toward the tax liability of I? No. Can you use toward the tax liability of C or S? No. Therefore, they have clarified that in calculation of interest of 88B, when you are adding all the head ka ITC, you will not add compensation cess.
So only for compensation cess liability we can adjust.
Correct. But I think that is not in your syllabus, so that part you can ignore. Okay. You like to ask any questions, Zini?
Yes, sir. Sir, in the first example, you have told regarding that IGST credit is 90, है ना? तो उसमें आपने कहा कि IGST को आपने 45 CGST एंड SGST में डिवाइड किया, अभी जो आपने एग्जाम्पल यानी बताया था.
करेक्ट.
तो उसमें यानी इंटरेस्ट क्यों लेवी हुआ, मैं यानी कंफ्यूज हो गई, मैं समझ नहीं पाई एक्चुअली उसको.
मैं वापस एक्सप्लेन कर देता हूँ. लेट मी अलाउ मी 1 मिनट. मैं एक बार वापस एक्सप्लेन कर देता हूँ दोनों एग्जाम्पल.
यस सर. एक्चुअली हम IGST तो यानी क्रेडिट यूज कर सकते हैं ना.
हाँ, मैं एक बार बस वापस एक मिनट दीजिए, मैं दोनों एग्जाम्पल को एक्सप्लेन कर देता हूँ एंड देन वी कैन आस्क भाई क्लियर हुआ या नहीं हुआ. In my first example, I have the wrongly availed IGST credit of rupees 90. ये wrong था. I have the CGST का correct ITC of 50 and I have the correct ITC of S is 50. In this month, I have the liability under I 0, under C 45, under S 45. You have the ITC under I rupees 90. You have the ITC under C 50. You have the ITC under S 50. As we know that IGST has to be first utilized, then only you can use credit of C or S, and that will be distributed in any order, any manner.
Yes,
assume that you have equally divided 45. Correct?
Yes,
so now the balance is 0. And you are the ITC of C and S. Correct? Now let me go back. So now the question is that you have wrongly availed IGST credit rupees 90, which need to be reversed now. But in the current date, you have the IGST 0. Doubt was whether interest would be applicable in this case or not. Why the doubt was arise? Because you have taken some ITC, but now the balance is 0. If you see the individually IGST, If you see individually IGST, then you can say IGST does not have the balance. It means whatever the ITC was there, it has been utilized.
Yes, sir.
तो इन्होंने क्लैरिफाई किया 192 में कि जब IGST के रिगार्ड में हम बात करेंगे, when we talk about IGST, you will not see only balance lying in the IGST. You will add CGST, you will add SGST. What is the total balance? The total balance is 100 rupees. What is the wrong ITC? 90. Because you have more than the wrong ITC, then it means that still you have not utilized the ITC, no interest applicable in this case.
बट सर एक्चुअली मैं वहां उलझ गई जहां आपने बोला कि आईजीएसटी को रॉन्गली यानी अवेल किया है।
यहाँ पे भी रॉन्गली अवेल ही है, ये भी रॉन्गली अवेल्ड है।
बट हम सीजीएसटी और एसजीएसटी के लिए तो आईजीएसटी को यूज कर सकते हैं ना।
उसमें तो कोई अभी देखो, मेरे को एक बात बताओ सिंपल,
जी।
अगर 90 रॉन्गली अवेल किया और लेट्स से 3 महीने बाद में मैं उसको पे कर देता हूँ, 90 इज माई लाइंग इन माई लेजर, क्या इंटरेस्ट लगेगा?
यानी आईजीएसटी का क्रेडिट आपके अकाउंट में है।
हाँ, पहले एक सिंपल एग्जांपल की बात करता हूँ। You have
जी।
taken wrong ITC of IGST 90.
यस सर।
Now, after 3 months, it is still lying in your ledger and you are reversing. Will the interest be applicable? No. यहाँ तो बात क्लियर है ना, क्योंकि सबसेक्शन 3 क्या कहता है? Wrongly availed and utilized. मैं एक बार वापस आऊं उसमें।
यस सर प्लीज।
यहाँ पे क्या वर्ड लिखा है? Wrongly availed and utilized. अगर 90 लिया और अभी तक कुछ भी यूटिलाइज नहीं किया तो इंटरेस्ट नहीं लगेगा, ये बात क्लियर है?
यस सर।
मैंने एग्जांपल नंबर 1 एकदम सिंपल बनाने के लिए मैंने क्या कहा, यू रॉन्गली अवेल 90 रुपीज एंड स्टिल 90 लाइंग इन योर लेजर, इट मींस you have not used anything, so no interest.
Yes, sir.
Now I am saying you have wrongly availed 90 rupees, but in the current date there is no balance, so it means 90 has been utilized ना,
Yes, sir.
इंटरेस्ट तो लगना चाहिए।
Yes, sir.
तो इस सर्कुलर ने क्लैरिफाई किया, अगर आईजीएसटी का रॉन्ग क्रेडिट का बात कर रहे हैं, इफ यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द रॉन्ग क्रेडिट ऑफ आईजीएसटी, वेदर इट हैज बीन यूटिलाइज्ड और नॉट, प्लीज एड ऑल हेड आई प्लस सी प्लस एस।
तीनों को कंसीडर करेंगे।
इंडिविजुअली तो आई 0 है इस एग्जांपल में, बट सी में 50 है और एस में 50 है, तो इट मींस टोटलिटी इट इज 100 रुपीज। क्या मतलब हुआ? अगर आप आज में आईजीएसटी का बैलेंस देखेंगे इट इज 0, तो टाइम ऑफ फेसी यू कैन से आईजीएसटी हैज बीन यूटिलाइज्ड, बट ये सर्कुलर ने कहा कि आईजीएसटी के केस में आप तीनों को टोटल कीजिए एंड टोटल अगर 90 से ज्यादा है इट मींस नॉट यूटिलाइज एंड देयरफॉर नो इंटरेस्ट।
Yes, sir.
इज दैट क्लियर?
Yes, sir. Now clear, sir.
ग्रेट।
Sir, one thing.
हेमंत, आपके पॉइंट पर आ रहा हूं। ज्ञानेंद्र ने भी एक बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन पूछा है। ये बात आपकी सीजीएसटी में नहीं हो सकती, ये बात आपकी एसजीएसटी में नहीं हो सकती, ध्यान रखना। दिस पॉइंट कैन नॉट बी, फॉर एग्जाम्पल यू हैव टेकन द रॉन्ग आईटीसी ऑफ सी एंड वेदर इंटरेस्ट वुड बी एप्लीकेबल और नॉट, तो सिर्फ आपको सी का देखना है।
ओके।
You will not consider the total balance of I plus C plus S, because can you use the SGST ka ITC toward the liability of C?
No, sir.
Whenever the wrong ITC taken under CGST head and in the closing because of any reason CGST is 0, interest would be leviable. You do not apply the concept that I will make the total of ICS, because सीजीएसटी, अगर आपके पास में सीजीएसटी का लाइबिलिटी है तो आप सीजीएसटी का आईटीसी को यूज करते हैं।
यस सर।
और एसजीएसटी की आईटीसी यूज नहीं करते। तो यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम है, यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम है They are saying that it will not be considered in my understanding. Any other? Now, Hemant, कुछ क्वेश्चन है या
Yes,
ज्ञानेंद्र
ये
कुछ
ये
क्वेश्चन है?
no, yes, sir. अभी IGST को reversal when I made the reversal, IGST has become 0, but I have adjusted that 90. Wrong adjustment I have done for 45, 45. Now I am supposed to reduce also. S का जो 50 है और C का जो 50 है, उसमें हमको reduce करना है ना, 45, 45.
नहीं नहीं, अभी हमने बात किया ना, हाँ मतलब कोई भी S भी कम होगा, C भी कम होगा, राइट?
कम होगा ना?
हाँ हाँ, अभी तो पेमेंट होगा, नहीं तो पेमेंट कैसे होगा?
Okay, then okay. No, I'm saying when I'm doing reversal for IGST, at the same time I have to reduce because wrongly हमने IGST को adjust कर दिया, but C
कम
and S
CS हो रहा
remain
है,
as sorry.
रॉन्गली आपने अवेल किया I का, बट जब आप पे कर रहे हो तो CS को कम कर रहे हो.
CS को कम करना है.
हाँ, ऑटोमेटिकली
हाँ.
कम हो जाएगा ना. अगर आपके पास में I का बैलेंस ही नहीं है तो C और SC यूज होगा ना.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So if I have the liability under IGST, assume that I do not have any ITC under IGST. So obviously you will take from C and then S, right? Now,
Yeah, yes.
Gyanendra, is it clear? Gyanendra, is it clear? एक बार confirm करना बेटा.
Yes, sir.
Great.
I want to one more question, sir. If there is GST payable on sales side, CGST, and we have balance in CGST, then interest is applicable or not?
You're wrongly claimed in the CGST.
No, sir. We have not declared liability in sales side.
Applicable.
And we have sufficient balance CGST ledger also.
Applicable. Because you have not, see the proviso. Please confirm. I'm repeating your question for the benefit of all. You are saying you have the liability of rupees 100 in the April. The liability has not been declared in April. It has been declared in the May. But in the month of March also, you have the ITC of, let's say, 200. Will the interest be applicable? This is your question.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Interest would be applicable in my understanding. They have used the word supplies declared in the said period. If you are declaring in the subsequent period, you can't take the advantage of this proviso. Read with rule 88B sub rule 1. एक बार जाएं 88B में जाते हैं. We will understand very interesting point. क्या कहता है ये? ये कहता है कि in case where the supply is made during a tax period, April, and declared in the return for the said period, यहाँ पे ये applicable नहीं होगा. तो it means you will covered by sub rule 2 and यहाँ पर interest आपके gross पे लगेगा. Interest will be applicable on the amount of the tax which remain unpaid. So it will be applicable on entire 100, not on the net. ठीक है? Is that clear? I fully agree. Ashutosh, this circular 192 has saved a lot of taxpayer. ठीक है. So now एक बार 5-10 मिनट का ब्रेक ले लेते हैं. We'll take the break of 10 minutes and we have the last part, that is deduction section 51. तो उसको हम डिस्कस करेंगे. मजा आ रहा है ना डिस्कशन में? All are enjoying the discussion ना?
Yes, sir.
Great. We'll take the break of 10 minutes. We'll resume at 8:30. Last half an hour, we'll do the deduction, tax deduction at source का provision, and then we'll have the quick round of the question answer in the same manner as we always do. ठीक है. सर अशोक सर एक बार ब्रेक So, could you please tell me the correct way of the study IDT subject? Should we visit the CBSE visit? No. CBSE website? No, not at all. Or should we rely on the? I believe I can 100% say you can all depend entirely on ICAI board study material. विश्वास मानिए, जितना फोकस और जितनी क्वालिटी ICAI के बोर्ड ऑफ स्टडीज के मटेरियल में है ना, आई कैन बिट दैट दिस टाइप ऑफ क्वालिटी यू विल नॉट फाइंड इन द वेरी वेरी रिनाउंड पब्लिकेशन बुक्स जो भी अवेलेबल है मार्केट में. सो मेरा रिक्वेस्ट है कि not only it is only for the benefit of the, not only for the benefit of the CA final, but otherwise also it will a very good publication. So I cannot comment Hemant any other market, but I am saying that ICAI board of studies material is having lot of good quality. अगर आप इवन प्रैक्टिसिंग प्रोफेशनल भी हैं, तब भी आपके लिए स्टडीज जो बोर्ड ऑफ स्टडीज का मटेरियल है ना, इट हेल्प अलॉट. आई कैन से 90-95% हो सकता है. देखो, हमारे एग्जाम्स में एज ऑन डेट का तो अमेंडमेंट आता है, एप्लीकेबल नहीं होता, राइट? मानसा नॉट रिक्वायर्ड एट ऑल. जस्ट कीप असाइड. It will create confusion and unnecessary weightage. It will not at all applicable. No relevance, even for your exam, even for your life, practical experience. Not at all necessary, because all the relevant circular, like for example, let me take one simple example. You have the circular 172. Circular 172 has 6-7 questions, but all these questions are not related to one chapter. Some part is related to 17 subsection 5 clause B. Some part is related to deemed export. Some part is related to payment of tax. So what is the advantage that board of studies has put the relevant part in the respective chapter only. विश्वास नहीं करोगे, हम सीए बन जाते हैं, देन ऑल्सो हमारा जो इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स कमिटी ICAI, ऐसा नहीं कि मैं फैकल्टी हूं इसलिए मैं आपको ये सब बात बोल रहा हूं, ICAI का फैकल्टी हूं, नहीं, मैं अदरवाइज प्रैक्टिकली बात करता. अगर मेरा कोई रिलेशन भी नहीं होता ना, तब भी मैं ये कहता ICAI का स्टडी मटेरियल इज बेस्ट फॉर स्टूडेंट्स वाला भी एंड इवन फॉर प्रोफेशनल वाला भी. आप इंस्टीट्यूट के इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स कमेटी का स्टडी वो जो मटेरियल आता है ना, रेफर दैट मटेरियल, यू विल लव इट. You will have the so much of the clarity which you might not get from any one study any one publication or anyone. This is my understanding. I may be wrong. With due respect to all other publication, but I will have the huge respect and get advantage from this institute. So that is why I am saying this part. Now let's move to the section 51. So that one part I have not taken in this CPIN, CIN, BRN and EPB. When you go to the portal, मैंने भी पोर्टल भी नहीं बताया, मुझे पोर्टल भी आपको बताना है, ठीक है? देन PMT 06, that is the concept of चला. एक बार मैं ना पोर्टल भी ओपन कर लेता हूँ, अदरवाइज आई विल मिस. मुझे आपको प्रैक्टिकली भी बताना है. Just allow me 1 minute so that you all have some practical experience also कि that हम अगर पोर्टल पर जाते हैं तो कैसा दिखता है. Let me open the live GST portal and at least have basic idea. Just 1 मिनट दीजिएगा मुझे, मैं पोर्टल ओपन कर रहा हूं. I hope you are able to see the portal. This is the GST live portal. Go to the services, go to the payment, go to the ledger. All these ledger we have discussed. Cash ledger we have discussed. Credit ledger we have discussed. Electronic liability register we have discussed. Click on the liability. In the liability, we have discussed that there are two parts. See, there are two parts: return related liability, other than returns related liability. Click on the returns related liability. So, like for example, let me go. एक मिनट दीजिए. You will see, like, this is the 19th of December. This amount is debited. This amount is debited. Cash credit, cash credit. So likewise, this is the liability registered other than RCM. This is the liability, and this is the RCM, no RCM. So you're paid through cash. So by this, you can identify your total liability balance and total closing balance. Similarly, you can go to the other ledger. Now, let me explain the payment. Go to the payment and create the, click on the payment. I have explained that, sorry, एक मिनट मैं वापस कैश लेजर में जाता हूँ. When you click on the cash ledger, in there you will find the concept of PMT9. What is the PMT9? To transfer the cash within the GST number or within the distinct person. You have the option. Like, click on the PMT9. Once you click the PMT9, it will tell you how much you have the balance. Then you can transfer from where you like to transfer. Let's say I have selected IGST under interest. Assume that there is an amount. कहाँ से ट्रांसफर करना चाहते हैं और किसको ट्रांसफर करना चाहते हैं? Let's say I like to transfer in the CGST and let's say tax. Once I click on the save, then it will, because I do not have the amount, correct? So whenever I will fill and submit the same, amount will be transferred. And last part, the cash, the payment, how to make the payment. There is a concept of QRMP other than QRMP, which we will discuss in the written chapter. But अभी मैं सिर्फ पेमेंट की बात करता हूँ. Whenever you are making the payment, like CGST कितना, tax कितना, interest कितना, penalty, etc., you can make the payment e-payment, OTC, over the counter, up to 10,000 rupees, NEFT, RTGS. So CPIN is stand for the Common Portal Identification Number. It is created for every challan. 14-digit unique number to identify the challan. CPIN is valid for 15 days. What is the CIN? Challan Identification Number, generated by the bank once payment in lieu of the challan is successful. ये 18 डिजिट है. 14 तो वही CPIN plus 4 कौन सा बैंक का कोड ऐड हो जाएगा. BRN is the bank reference number given by the bank. What is the EPB? What is the EFPB? Stand for Electronic Focal Point Branch. These are the branches of authorized bank which are authorized to collect the payment of the GST. Each authorized bank will nominate only one branch. EFPB will have to open account under each major head and minor, under major head of all the government. Any amount received will be credited to the appropriate account held by such EFB. For NEFT, RTGS, IMPS, RBI will act as EFPB. These are the basic concepts. I request thus please refer the study material. You will find the detailed discussion. Now we are talking about the tax deduction at source. When the TDS would be applicable if can CA payment the tax on behalf of the client? Sir, do we have the remember circle? No. Mansa, not at all. Remember the concept sufficient. To clear the exam, remember the concept. Like I am the faculty and this is the reason I could recall some of the circular or rules number. Even I don't know also all the circular reference, circular rules section. Some of the number might be I could be able to remember because of teaching, but otherwise there is no requirement to pass the exams. If let's say A is making the supply to the government, then government will deduct the TDS under section 51. Suppose he is making the supply of 3 lakh rupees to government, then government will deduct the TDS of 2% and then it will deposit the same to the GST department. This TDS which government has deducted, I am talking about TDS under GST. I am not talking about the TDS under income tax. This entity has to take separate registration for the purpose of TDS. Let's say I am a government, I'm a local authority or government agency, etc. I am having the one regular category of registration. Okay? But still I have to take one more registration that is under TDS category. It is separate GST registration. It means in this case, government will have the two registration, one regular category for which they will file GSTR 1, GSTR 3B, etc., GSTR 9, GSTR 9C. But they will take one more registration, that is TDS, for the purpose of this provision and for which they will file GSTR 7. When the TDS would be deducted, it will be available to A, who is a supplier, and he can accept this TDS and it will be added in the cash ledger. So let's say they have deducted, hypothetically I'm saying, they have deducted 1,000 rupees. Then this 1,000 once deducted and paid to the government, then this 1,000 would be reflected in a portal, and once accept this 1,000 rupees will be added in the electronic cash ledger and he can use wherever he want. Hemant, electronic credit ledger, ECL, section 24 ECL, correct. It's cash ledger, okay.
Cash ledger, sir. Cash ledger.
Okay. So this is the part. Government TDS is applicable on department or establishment of the government, local authority, government agency, and such person as may be notified. It means we have to refer the notification. What is the number? Not required to remember. Who all are being added in that notification, that will be covered under the TDS provisions. We will read. Okay. What will be the rate? 1%. But I told you 2%. Why, sir? Because we are reading the CGST provision. We are reading the CGST Act. Okay. So 1% CGST and 1% 1% SGST. So the total will be 2%. Always remember one point, that whenever you are reading the CGST Act, because we all are reading the CGST Act, then whatever the percentage has been given, whatever the value has been given, it has to be doubled. अगर मैं 1% CGST की रेट की बात कर रहा हूं, इसका मतलब टोटल TDS 2% डिडक्ट होगा. 1% CGST, 1% SGST. Like I'm talking about the penalty is, let's say, 5,000 rupees. It means total penalty is 10,000 rupees because I'm reading the penalty under some section of the GST Act, CGST Act. Like when I will talk about the late fees of the GSTR 3B, then late fees would be rupees 10. It means that total late fees will be 10 CGST, 10 SGST. So TDS would be deducted if the total value under the contract exceed 2.5 lakh. Please note that this is the contract amount. It can be one invoice, it can be multiple invoice, it can be within one financial year, it can be different financial year. मैं सिर्फ ये कहना चाहता हूं कि they are giving 2,50,000 and the 2,50,000 is the contract amount. It is not per invoice, it is not per month, it is not per year, it is not fixed. Over the period, if you have done the transaction with one supplier more than 2,50,000, then if you are government department, establishment of central government, state government, local authority agency, or the person notified, you will deduct the TDS. In which case TDS would not be deducted if supplier, let's say A is located in Maharashtra, made the supply to Delhi state government. Invoice value is 3 lakh. Because of any provision of the place of supply, let's say place of the supply comes to Maharashtra, कोई भी provision के कारण, A is from Maharashtra, place of the supply is Maharashtra, therefore CGST and SGST would be charged, but bill is raised to Delhi. Then in that case, because Delhi belongs to other state, he cannot deduct C and S of Maharashtra. No, he cannot deduct CGST and Maharashtra SGST. Therefore, the proviso has been added. They are saying, अगर supplier का location और place of supply एक state है and different है from the state of the recipient, that is Delhi. यहाँ पर दिल्ली है recipient, but supplier कहाँ पे? महाराष्ट्र में, और place of supply कहाँ पे? महाराष्ट्र में. Then in that case there will be no deduction. And why they are saying no deduction? Because practically possible nahi hai. For the purpose of the deduction of the tax specified above, the value of the supply shall be excluding CS, तो tax हटा के basic value पर TDS apply होगा. I hope it is clear. Still we have to read some more provision. Amount deducted will have to be deposited within 10 days. Certificate will be issued as may be prescribed. So GSTR 7A एक फॉर्म है जिस फॉर्म में TDS issue सर्टिफिकेट इश्यू करना होता है. The deductee, that Mr. A, will claim the credit in the cash ledger. I have already explained. अगर TDS नहीं deduct होता, then interest would be applicable. Then the penalty would be applicable, 73, 74, etc. Refund of the deductor or the deductee arising out of excess deduction shall be in accordance with 54. TDS 1000 deduct करना था, but 1200 deduct कर लिया. Government can go for the refund, but if it is accepted by the A, then this 1200 will be added in the cash ledger of A. Then A can claim the refund. कैसे, क्या process होगा? It has been given in the section 54. Now, some more part we have to discuss with respect to TDS. For that, I am going to the GST, CBSE, Institute का study material. मैं एक बार discuss करता हूँ. Just allow me 1 minute. Let me open the Institute का material. Now, अभी हमने बात किया clause D. Such person, a category of the person as may be notified by the government. एक बार मैं अपने PPT पर जाता हूँ. Let me go to the PPT. What we have discussed, who all are covered in the section 51: government, department establishment, local authority, government agency or such other person as may be notified. कौन से person notify किए? As of now, the following category of the person has been notified: authority or board or any other body set up by the act of the parliament or state legislature, established by any government with 51% or more participation by way of equity control. इसका मतलब अगर let's say ICAI, it is a set up under the parliament, right? It is set up under the act of the parliament. Then LIC, like it is the set up under the parliament, or any government establishment having 51% or more participation by way of the equity or control. In that case, they will also be covered under TDS category. Circular 76 has clarified that this 51%, will it be applicable only for the clause 2 or will it be applicable for both? They are saying it is applicable to both. The next, societies established by the central government or state government or local authority. Then public sector undertaking, PSU, they are also covered under the TDS category. Recent amendment: any registered person receiving the supplies of the metal scrap in this chapter of the tariff from other registered person. Now this is the first time they have made applicable to the private people, private person also. Normally, before this amendment, whatever it is applicable, TDS is applicable only when the recipient is like central government, state government, government agency, societies, parliament, registered under the Parliament Act, or these. But first time they are saying, if let's say XYZ Limited is making the supply of the metal scrap to the Ispat industries, let's say he is a registered person in the GST. Any registered person receiving the supply of the metal scrap from other registered person, then this Ispat will deduct the TDS under the GST. Then, if like we have discussed clause A, clause B, clause C, and the clause D. In the clause D, we have discussed A, B, C, and D. ये चीज ध्यान रखिए, वापस मैं आता हूं, एक बार मेन पॉइंट पर आता हूं. ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट. सेक्शन 51 में हमने क्या डिलीट किया? क्लॉज ए डिपार्टमेंट, क्लॉज बी लोकल अथॉरिटी, क्लॉज सी गवर्नमेंट एजेंसी, क्लॉज डी क्या है? नोटिफाइड. इसमें भी क्या लोग हो गए? 4 लोग हो गए. ए लाइक बॉडी एस्टेब्लिशमेंट बाय द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट. बी लाइक सोसाइटीज. सी लाइक PSU. एंड डी इज मेटल स्क्रैप. ठीक है, तो 3 यहां पे है और 4th में फर्दर 4th नोट 4 लोग नोटिफाई हो चुके. तो कैन आई से द TDS इज एप्लीकेबल ऑन 3 जो सेक्शन 51 में दिए एंड +4 जो कि नोटिफिकेशन में दिए. फाइन. तो क्या ये वाला बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है? What is the importance? The importance part is saying, they are saying when the goods or services are supplied from one PSU to another PSU, no TDS. एक PSU दूसरे PSU को सप्लाई करता है, no TDS. Second, when supply of the goods or services takes place between one person to another is specified in the clause A, मतलब सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट और स्टेट गवर्नमेंट की कोई अथॉरिटी. क्लॉज बी मींस लोकल अथॉरिटी. क्लॉज सी मींस that whatever we have discussed, that government agencies, and clause D means वो चार लोग. It means, let's say, local authority are making the supply to the government agency, no TDS. Let's say government agencies are making the supply to the set up under the Parliament Act, no TDS. Same, let's say PSU is making the supply to the government agencies, no TDS. It means, but important point, they have excluded the clause D. Meaning thereby, now let's say metal scrap supplier or metal scrap purchaser making the supply to the PSU. Ideally, this person is covered in the clause D by notification, but if they are making the supply to the PSU, any material, let's say they are the work contractor or they are consultant, let's say, then PSU will deduct the TDS. They are not covered in this exemption. Very, very important. Who all are covered in the TDS? एक बार मुझे बताएं कितने लोग कवर्ड है TDS में? ज्ञानेंद्र, metal scrap supplier, when he is supplying the metal scrap to any registered person जो से metal scrap purchase कर रहे हैं, TDS would be deducted. टोटल 7 लोग हैं. मुझे कुछ लोगों का नाम बताइए. प्लीज गिव मी द नेम ऑन विच TDS is applicable. Please tell some name on which TDS is applicable. नाम बताइए.
Sir, whether my answers are coming?
Coming. Only I am making one practical question to all of you, so therefore I am not able to see the answer.
Oh, okay, sir.
एक मिनट मुझे जस्ट मैं आप लोगों के लिए क्वेश्चन बना रहा हूँ एंड दैट इज द रीजन कि मैं भी आप लोगों के आंसर नहीं देखा. जस्ट अलाउ मी 2 मिनट. Coming. Tell me, in this example, we have discussed now that fine, government authority PSU, correct. We have discussed one relaxation that there is no TDS. Please tell me out of the 6 example, in which case 1 or 2 maybe or 3 maybe, कौन से केस में recipient TDS deduct नहीं करेगा? There is no TDS applicable in which of the scenario? स्टेट ए में सप्लायर है, प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई स्टेट है, रिसिपिएंट स्टेट ए है. किस केस में टीडीएस एप्लीकेबल नहीं होगा? यस हेमंत, पहला आंसर करेक्ट. ओके, लेट मी, इट इज मोर देन वन. यहां पर टोटल 2 केस हैं जहां पर टीडीएस एप्लीकेबल नहीं होगा. फर्स्ट, सेकंड, थर्ड, फोर्थ, फिफ्थ, सिक्स्थ. आउट ऑफ 6 देयर आर टोटल 2 transaction on which TDS is not applicable. My request would be, please tell me कितने कौन से वो ट्रांजेक्शन है जिस पर TDS applicable नहीं होगा? after filing GSTR1, ITC laser is not updating. Because the electronic credit laser has been linked to the GST return, and GST return in section 39, it is 3B. So if you read the section 16 subsection 2, last clause, Ashutosh, last clauses that he has furnished the return under section 39. तो क्रेडिट लेने के लिए मुझे कौन सा लेजर, कौन सा रिटर्न फाइल करना जरूरी है? 3B. एंड देयरफॉर द 3B, जहां मेरी जितनी मेरी अंडरस्टैंडिंग है कि 3B के साथ क्रेडिट लेजर को लिंक किया. I hope you received the answer. So second number, absolutely correct. And last is, and one more case is sixth. एक बार देख लेते हैं sixth सही है नहीं है? हाँ, yes, absolutely correct. Correct बेटा. तो देखो हमने क्या, go back to the proviso. Go back to the proviso. It says that no deduction if supplier and place of supply एक स्टेट में है और recipient other state में है. It means location of supplier plus place of the supply is in one state and recipient is in another state. अब क्या होगा? No deduction. यहाँ पे बताइए इसमें कौन सा केस है? एग्जाम्पल नंबर 2, ये दोनों एक स्टेट में और रेसिपिएंट दूसरे स्टेट में, नो टीडीएस. सिमिलरली ये दोनों एक स्टेट या यूटी में और ये दूसरी यूटी में, नो टीडीएस. यहां पर क्या होगा? ये टीडीएस डिडक्ट करेगा सीजीएसटी एंड एसजीएसटी वाला. यहां पर क्या होगा? ये आईजीएसटी का इनवॉइस इशू करेगा, so the recipient will deduct the TDS under IGST. Is it clear? Everyone is clear? Everyone is clear? By this we have completed the today class. मेरी humble request है, because time short पड़ता थोड़ा त्रिया, इसलिए I could not take multiple time. See, I like to ask the, see, my concept is, my interest is कि मैं आप लोगों से मालूम क्वेश्चन कैसे पूछूं. अगर मैंने लास्ट क्लास चैप्टर 1 किया है, आज चैप्टर 2 किया है, तो आज मैं आपसे चैप्टर 1 के भी क्वेश्चन पूछूं, चैप्टर 2 के भी क्वेश्चन पूछूं. कल जब मैं क्लास कराऊंगा, आई विल ऐड ऑल 3 चैप्टर्स. दिस इज माय इंटरेस्ट, बट आई कुड नॉट कंप्लीट बिकॉज ऑफ द लिमिटेशन ऑफ द टाइम. बट फिर भी मैं कोशिश करता हूं कि बीच बीच में मैं अदर चैप्टर के क्वेश्चन आपसे पूछता हूं. लाइक आज मैंने आईटीसी के कुछ क्वेश्चन आपसे पूछे. तो माई हम्बल रिक्वेस्ट, सी वी आर इन टच विद मोर देन 1 मंथ. मेरी लास्ट क्लास 9th of March की है. तब तक मैं आपको हर सैटरडे हर संडे आपसे डिस्कशन करूंगा. तो माय रिक्वेस्ट वुड बी ऑलवेज रिवाइज प्रीवियस चैप्टर. माइट बी आई विल आस्क द रिवर्स चार्ज क्वेश्चन, माइट बी आई विल आस्क द प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई क्वेश्चन, माइट बी आई विल आस्क द रजिस्ट्रेशन चैप्टर क्वेश्चन. तो आपको मजा आएगा. यू विल एबल टू रिवाइज ऑल द प्रीवियस क्लासेस एज वेल. सो दैट इज माय एक्सपेक्टेशन एंड माय रिक्वेस्ट वुड बी टू ऑल that at least revise IDT. So by the March 9th, 10th March मेरी last class है, we would be able to have the handy discussion and we will be able to revise at least all the chapter to some extent. Fine. Thank you very much. Goodbye to all of you and we'll meet in the next Saturday with new topic. Goodbye. Good night to all of you. Fine. You all have enjoyed. हाँ, सेशन ओवर सर, आप कंप्लीट कर सकते हैं.